In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to digitize step by step and embroider a design on a t-shirt. If you'd like to skip the digitizing and you only want to watch the embroidery, then skip to this time. For digitizing, I'm going to be using the Design Doodler for its simplicity, and we have a demo available in the link in the description. If you just started digitizing or embroidering, make sure to say hello in the comments so we can welcome you all. Let's get started. This is the Design Doodler, and it's not meant to be a professional digitizing software where you can create logos and anything crazy like that. It's more meant to be a tool where you can be creative, where you don't necessarily need to know how to digitize 100% because it does a really good job at holding your hand. That's the reason why I like using it, and I think it's really good for beginners. On the left side, we have a couple of options, and that is to start a new page, to open up a design, to save your design, and to view your PDFs, as well as a couple other tools right here. At the bottom, we have our main toolset that we'll be using as we're digitizing, and on the right, we have things such as enable 3D. Right now, you can't see anything because there are no stitches on the board, but if you enable this, it would try to show you the 3D version of the stitches that we're gonna create. Here we have our hoop, and here I'm gonna just at the bottom I'm gonna use the hand so that I can move around. This is a 4x4 inch hoop, which you can change in the settings, as well as the grid. You can enable or disable. This right here is 1:1, 1:3, and 1:6. This is a zoom ratio, and if you followed any of the previous John Deere tutorials, you'll know that these are very good to use. Here we have a little ghost, super cute, and the ghost is so that you can see any hidden stitches, and this one is so that we have auto tie in or off. Don't worry so much about that, just make sure you leave it on for now. Here we have the palettes, and this is where you can change all of your colors, as well as many of the popular thread brands like Madeira Polonian 40. That's a very popular one, so I could even switch to that. And here we have the sequence view where you can see your layers, every single color, every single stitch that you create. And the last one, well, that's your tool wheel right here. This is where you can choose different tools. So for example, the run, that's where you want to create a single run stitch. I'm going to return, and then this is where you can create a fill. I'm gonna go back. This is where you can create satins like that. Super simple stuff. Now at the bottom we have the properties, so I'm just gonna go under settings, and here highly suggest you check these out. Take the time to go through a little bit of everything. Here you can change your units from imperial to metric, which I know most of you use metric, but sometimes I still have to use imperial to know my inches. So I guess we can blame Canada for that, huh? Here's where you can choose the different hoop sizes. So there's a bunch available, and you can see that it's in millimeters. So here it is, 100 by 100 or 4 by 4 inches. So because we're gonna be embroidering on an SE600 and its maximum hoop size is 4 by 4, I'm just gonna be sticking to this size. That's a super basic overview of this program, but if you wanna see a full walkthrough, then make sure to click this video up here. To open up an image, I'm going to click this button down here, and that is going to open up this window that says open. I'm going to select this design, and I'm going to click open. Awesome. This is Steamboat Willie, and as of 2024, it became public domain, so I thought it'd be perfect to teach you guys how to digitize using this iconic figure. To move the image around, we're gonna click this button down here besides the view tool. This is it when you can hide and show your image, and we're gonna click on the image and scale it down. Something like that. I think that's pretty good. We're gonna try to make it around 4 by 4. I'm not gonna be doing the background. I'm only gonna be focusing on Steamboat Willie. And the beauty of this program is that I can go to the properties, so you can see these 3 lines right here, and I'm gonna turn down its opacity. That way I can maximize the size of the design and ensure that it'll fit perfectly within that 4 by 4 inch hoop. I think that's pretty good, and if we go 1:1, 1:3, and 1:6, you can see we can zoom in. I think 1:1 is pretty good. At 1:6 ratio, you get a pretty awesome zoom where you can get all the details without overdoing it too much. Now, if you've never digitized before, I'll show you very quickly. Again, this tool right here, you see that it's a steel tool, and what it does is it creates a zigzag stitch that looks like so. when I turn on the 3D and I go 1:1, it looks like a satin stitch, and that's the definition of it. Is a satin stitch is a very smooth looking stitch. Satin has its limits in terms of width, but for the most part you use satins for outlines or when you want to create something that stands out. Now this is my favorite tool, and that's the run tool, which creates single run stitches. If I disable the 3D or I enable the 3D, you can see that it looks very thin, especially compared to the steel tool. You can use them both as outlines, but you don't want to go too thin with a satin stitch because then you'll run into some issues. Oh, and we have a free digitizing cheat sheet and video available that we'll link in the description as well if you want to learn more about all of this. And the last tool that we're going to use to digitize this design is something called the fill tool, but it's also called tatami. Tatami is most commonly used to create bigger shapes, so shapes that are a little too wide for satin. This is a pattern that can go throughout the whole design, and it's great for filling up those big spaces. So those are the three main tools that we're gonna use: tatami, run stitch, and satin stitch. Alright, let's get started. Now, to not overwhelm you too much, I'll just share one more thing. And to me, the most important thing when it comes to digitizing is to try and connect everything. I like to imagine digitizing like if I was using a single thread, which in reality we are. So for example, there's one thread right here. So for that thread, I don't necessarily want to create a second one going this way, and then a third one going this way, and then a fourth one going that way. My goal with creating a design, at least when it comes to using the same color, I want to ensure that that thread stays connected for as long as possible, as long as it can. I know that sounds super confusing, but don't worry, as we create this design, you'll know what I mean. Stop talking so much about digitizing, and let's get started with the digitizing. I'm gonna start with this leg as an example because I like that it's at the bottom and it's also in the background. So when I get our tool set, and I'm gonna click on the run tool. Then on the run tool, we have the freehand, so I'll stick to the freehand. And for the 3mm spacing, yeah, that's perfect. So for this design, because it's 4x4, it's not really that big, so I think I'm gonna stick to doing a run stitch all around this area. And my ultimate goal is always to create 2 passes. Let me just switch to another color so you guys can see much clearer. Let's choose like a green. Awesome. I'm going to start by going down this way. Then I'm gonna go down here, and then I'm going to return. Now, why did I just return right there? Because my ultimate goal with the single stitch is to create 2 passes. That's going one way and returning. One way and returning. I think that just creates such a beautiful finish for embroidery. But because we gotta keep going, I'm not gonna return there just yet. So let's go this way. Awesome. And here, I'm gonna go down this way to create the shape. Let's maybe switch it down to 2.5. That should allow me to create that nice. Okay, cool. And return. Awesome. So you see right there, that was 2 passes down here, and I can continue, and I'm still connecting. That's my ultimate goal, is to continuously connect the whole design. So again, 1 pass, return. This space right here just has 2 passes now. Then let's go this way. 1 pass, 2 passes, and we'll finish it up here, and we'll return. Now this area has 2 passes, and don't worry, by the way, if it's not perfect. You can see that there are a couple spacings. That's fine, because remember, we're working at a 1:6 ratio. This is 1:1, so you can see that when you actually zoom out, you will not see those tiny details. So let's go down this way and return. Now that area has 2 passes. This has 2 passes, 2 passes. Awesome. And we'll take care of the rest of the shoe. We already did this little area right here, so we can skip that. And that's it. Now the whole bottom part of the shoe has 2 passes, and we connected the whole design without needing to jump or trim. Now I'm going to push this stitch down here, and that is because now I'm going to switch to my steel tool and create a simple satin outline like that. Now I'm going to go 1:1, and if I disable that, you can see how awesome that looks. we got the whole leg done, and that was so fast. 1, 2, 3. You can check it out. It looks a lot clearer. Take off the image. Nice, right? Pretty simple. Let's keep going and figure out the rest. My goal now is gonna be to continue connecting everything. So I'm gonna go this way, do 2 quick passes right there, go this way, do another 2 pass right there, and then go down this way. All right, let's take care of the next leg. Oh, I guess we could also take care of the tail now. So let's take care of that. I'm gonna go all the way down to where the tail ends. Awesome. And then return as accurately as possible, while also remembering that I'm zoomed in so I don't have to be super duper accurate. That was a pretty fast way to take care of the tail, huh? Let's keep going. I want to keep connecting, so let's go down this way, connect this part right here. We're gonna do exactly the same thing we've just been doing. Do this part, go all the way there. Awesome. Return so we don't get lost. That part has 2 passes. Awesome. Take care of this one right here. Awesome. And we're gonna go this way, close this little area right here, and finish that area right there. By the way, guys, this is also commonly known as red work. Red work usually has 2 passes everywhere constantly, and it just looks so beautiful. Now here we have a little bit of a shadow, so what we could do is we can integrate the fill stitch. So I'm gonna grab the fill stitch and just create a tiny little fill like that. Now we can continue this way. Awesome. And finish that area like that. Bring this to the bottom, and we're gonna switch to the steel tool and go all the way up. That's it. Oh, the bottom looked a little iffy because my hands are a little jittery. That's okay. Perfect. Want to see what that looks like? Let's go 1/3 and let's disable the image. Wow, it's looking very cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. 1 to 6. Move down this way. Awesome. And what we can do is we can return this way. Do this area right here. Return. I'm going to finish this part right here and start returning everything. Awesome. So we do not get lost. Cool. Now you can see that the leg isn't going all the way to the end. That's okay because there's something called pull and push compensation. Again, cheat sheet available in the link in the description. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna push it up a little bit more. Let me get these 2 out of the way. That's pretty good. And we can modify these as well if we want to. And by the way, I click this button down here and that enables me to change the nodes. So I'm just moving those nodes around. Cool. Let's keep going all the way down here. We can exaggerate that one so it shows a little bit. Now right here, there's absolutely no need to trim. What I am gonna do though is I'm going to switch to 2mm. I'm going to go this way and then I'm going to go 2 times, 2 passes. That's it. And then I can return and finish the rest up. Let me just switch to 2.5 and then I can return. Awesome. Same thing with this one. I'm just gonna switch to 2, which I guess we could stay at 2, but for consistency purposes, I'm gonna keep at 2.5. Okay, awesome. Now you see there are stitches right here and right here, but the gap is so small that I don't think it's worth it, the machine trimming and then trying to do these tiny little details, because not only does it take longer, but there's a chance that you're gonna get a couple issues here. So to avoid that, just connect everything if it's such a small jump that you will never even notice it. Now we're gonna move on to the helm, the steering wheel, the driver's seat. I don't know what it's called. I've never been boating. And what I'm gonna do is I'm still gonna continue connecting everything. So you see, I grabbed that stitch and I brought it all the way down here so we don't have to jump whatsoever. So again, 1/6. And this is actually such a perfect image to learn how to do 2 passes. So if you guys have never done 2 passes before, now you have an awesome chance to take care of it. So I'm gonna create this shape right here. Oops. Do the shape right here and return. Now this has 2 passes, so I do not have to touch it again. Let's go this way down here. Okay, I'm gonna stick to the outside for now. 2 passes. Whoops, actually I almost made a mistake. So what I want to do is go down this way. I want to create this bottom part right here, then return for 2 passes. Awesome. Now we can keep going. And same thing, I'm going to just use the bottom part to guide myself to know where the 2 passes has happened. And it's cool that you can actually see. So you can see right here the little spacing. When you zoom out, you won't notice that, but when you zoom in, it's really good. So at least you know where you've already passed through. All right, so let's keep going. Cool. And let's do this bottom part. Let's do the 2 passes for the top part. Okay, be a little nicer about it. Gotta make sure it looks clean. After all, this is our first design together. No, it's not. Make sure to go watch the other videos. Finish it up over here. And whoa, you can see that I can do a full line right there. That's awesome. I can connect the whole thing. I didn't even know that. But it's awesome that we can take care of that. So I'm gonna go all the way down here. Finish that line right there and return for 2 passes. Awesome. See how easy that was? Let's go. All right, same thing. I'm gonna go down this way, go up here, 2 passes. Awesome. And we can go down this way to where his hand is, and I guess we can return now. Awesome. So let's do that. We already went, whoops. We already went through the top part, so we do not need to touch them again. We're gonna go through this part. Awesome. We're gonna go down this way. Yeah, we already did the top, so let's go through the bottom. Awesome. We already did the top, so bottom, and we already did that, so let's finish it up. Can I do it super clean? Yes. Awesome. And we can do this little part right here. Guys, see that? Take this out. Everything has 2 passes. Pretty awesome. Everything's connecting. All right. Let's do now the inner part of the helm. I don't know what it's called. All right. So I'm calling it a helm. 1/6 ratio. Let's move inside. Let's shoot for these parts right here. This part definitely has me just a teeny weeny little bit more confused, but with order we'll take care of it all. All right, so don't worry guys. Let's go this way and 2 passes. Awesome. Let's take care of this part right here. 2 passes. Cool, so I don't have to touch that anymore. Same thing with this right here. 2 passes. 2 passes. And where did that come from? This way. Awesome. I just want to make sure you don't get lost. That's honestly the goal. Ensure you don't get lost. As long as you don't get lost in the sauce, you'll be fine. And try to connect everything. Down this way. 1. I'll connect that little bit too. 2 passes. Down that way. Cool. And let's return. All right, try to be as accurate as possible. Nice. Now, one of the things that I totally just skipped by is, now Ken, why are you putting stitches on Steamboat Willie? Like, aren't you gonna see these? No, No, you're not. Because what's happening right now is we are going to be putting a satin stitch on top of it. So the beauty about connections is that as long as another stitch is going on top, you can kind of use it as like an underground railroad system where you can try to use it to your advantage to connect everything. That way, you know you're gonna put a satin stitch or tatami stitch on top of that and it's gonna go away. So I'm just taking advantage of that. All right. 1, 2 pass, 1, 2 pass, 1, 2 pass. Awesome. Return. Let's go this way. 1, 2 pass. I can even do this one down here and return and return. Awesome. And let's keep going. Yeah. 1 pass, 2 pass. I feel like this should be like a wrap. 1, 2 passes, and you know what? Let's finish all the way up there and return all the way up here. Now for this little area right here, I'm just gonna do a quick simple fill because it's in the background. Oh, let me make it a little bit bigger, a little bigger fill. Awesome. Now let's create the shape right here. So I'm gonna just create it into tatami. I think it could totally be satin, but for simplicity's sake, we're just gonna stick to tatami for now. Awesome. And because I created that tiny little shape in the background, I want to ensure that my start, so again, this is another thing that you guys will learn. This is a start, that's where your stitches will start, and this is where it will stop. So keep that in mind, just want to remember that stuff. Okay, let's go 1 to 1, see what that looks like. That's looking pretty awesome. All right, let's keep going. And I'm going to skip doing this whole area for now, just because I know that I have to return here. I don't want to just forget this and leave it at one line. That would be kind of a sin. So we're going to keep taking advantage at the fact that we can use this for connection purposes. I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to create a fill. So let's create that fill. Awesome. Again, remember when you click this tool down here, you can set your start and stop, which I want it to be there, and I want it to stop right there. Awesome. And I'm gonna switch to steel tool because I want to create that shape right there. Whoops, my hands are super shaky right now. That's pretty good. Let's do it again though. Much better. And then I can use this same tool to adjust it to what I want. So again, I'm just gonna remove the end to about there. That's pretty good. Now switch back to the run stitch and return. Awesome. Let's go this way, return. Let's go this way. And here, what can we do? That is very interesting. I think I'm gonna do this little shape right here, because this is a very, very tiny shape, so I don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to do a fill tool. Like so. That's good enough. Let's start and let's stop it right there. I think that's a good idea, because now what I can do is I can continue. I'm going to connect this because I don't think it should be jumping. Let's go all the way to the nose and we can return it and go all the way back down. So that was the mouth. Awesome. Steamboat Willie, super happy he definitely had his coffee for today. Cool. Here we're gonna do this area, just do 2 passes really quickly, and I'm going to leave this just for now because this part I think it's on the foreground, so I'm trying to think of it as like foreground, background, stuff like that. Let's try to connect the rest of this part right here. So I'm gonna go this way, and here I think I'm just gonna do a couple like that. It's a lot easier than having to put a fill right there, so we're kind of replicating that little fill without overdoing it. So I'm gonna go to the top here. I'm going to switch to fill and do a fill like that. Now make sure that it starts and it stops right there because I want to keep connecting it. Now, let me go back here, finish this nose. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to fill, and we're going to create that nose. Awesome. Same thing, start and stop right there because I want to keep connecting it, and return, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do another fill like that, start and stop right there, and finish right there. Before we move on, I want to show you guys something super nice. So what I'm going to do is click this tool right down here. This is going to allow me to change the angle of things, and I want to change it just a little bit like that. And one more thing is we're going to select one more thing is we're going to select this one right here, and I'm going to go under the properties tool, and on the fill pattern, we're going to switch this to a satin. Oh boy, did we just create a much smoother looking fill? Yeah, we did. And that's going to look so much cooler. Let's keep going. Here I am going to stick to tatami. So let me create a quick little tatami like that. But before I do that, let me just make sure I do all of the details because I can use the beauty to connect. Yeah, let's connect everything. Awesome. Let's go all the way up here, and I guess we'll try to do this area right here, return. Awesome. I guess we'll do this little part up here. It's tatami. Let me just try to do the 2 passes really quick. At this point, I'm not sure if it matters so much because it might go on top of it, but I want to take care of it anyways. That's it. Awesome. Let's go down this way. 1, 2. Oh, don't forget to continue connecting everything. I almost left my stitch somewhere randomly. That would have been pretty bad. And let's return the 2 pass right here. Cool. And 2 passes right here. Cool. Now let's do this ear right here. So I'm going to go to the end, switch to the fill, and create this awesome fill. Cool. Again, remember the start is right here and the stop is, we can put it there just because I don't want the machine to be trimming or jumping anywhere. All right, now let's go to fill up this awesome area right here. Cool. And then we can change the angle a little bit like that. Now remember, start was there. We can stop it over here, and we can finish the 2 passes there. Cool. What I'm gonna do with this shape right here is I'm almost going to create a 2 layer. So let's try to make this into a little bit of a 3D. This is just so that when you're seeing the design stitched out, the arm looks like if it was 3D. So I'm going to create this whole shape down here like that until here. I'm trying to almost imagine what that arm would look like, and I think it would look something like that. So I'm going to choose my start, which is down here. That way it's not jumping because that's where I brought down the stitch, and the stop is going to be right there. Now I'm going to switch to a steel, and for the steel I'm going to bring that arm all the way to the end there. Actually, you know what, let's return and let's do an awesome fill, and we're gonna switch it to a satin. So I'm just gonna go all the way around like so. That's it. And we're gonna click this tool to change the angle like that. Again, properties, fill pattern, satin, very nice. Now remember though, we started, where did we start? We started here, so we want to start there. and we stop. Where do we stop? I want to stop there, and the reason why I want to stop there and not over here is because we have unfinished business to do the return on this part right here. And that's it. The design is now done. Check it out. I'm gonna take out the image. Whoa, no jumps, no trims, everything's connecting, simple, voila. Now for this design, there are all of the underlays that you could add. I would definitely be adding some zigzags to like these shapes right here. So if you go under the properties, you can go under the underlays and you can do a perpendicular. I think I'll do a perpendicular for all these type of shapes just really quickly, so it adds a little more stability on the design. A perpendicular would be pretty good. And then on this big shape right here, I'd probably do perpendicular is fine. Perpendicular is pretty good. All right, let's take care of a zigzag. Could probably do zigzags. Yeah, that's awesome. And the tiny ones don't necessarily need anything. Let's grab everything by clicking this button down here, and we're going to switch the color to black. Oh man, look at that. What did you guys think of it? Let's see the difference between the actual image and the digitized image. Wasn't that super simple to digitize and very fun? On this program, you have a play button, so we're gonna click the view slow redraw. That is going to show me how this design is created. You can remember we started with the shoe, then it created the tail, the other shoe, then we created the helm. I feel bad for calling it the wrong thing if it's not called a helm. And then we created the hands, mouth, the eyes, the hat, the ears, and the end. Look at that. Now I'm going to show you how to export, and we can get this design going on the embroidery machine. To export the design is very simple. What you're going to do is click this button right here to save it. And I like to put my designs on desktop. Now you'll see embroidery legacy files JDX. That is the native format. So you also want to save your design as a JDX, because that way you can go back and re-edit your design. For now, I'm going to be saving this as a PES because I'm going to be using it on a PES Brother 11. That's fine. And I'm going to call it Steamboat Willie. Save. And I'm going to create a copy of it in JDX. Awesome. That's it. That's the digitizing process. Now let's move on to the embroidery. We are now in the embroidery part of this tutorial, and I'm going to be using the SE600. This is a 4x4 inch Brother embroidery machine, and it's been my baby since the beginning, so I really appreciate it. But to be fair with you, if I were to start embroidery today, I would probably go for the P800 because it has a 5x7 hoop, which most people move on from a 4x4 inch really quick. But for the purposes of this tutorial, this hoop size is perfectly fine. At the top, you'll see your tension. I found mine to work perfectly around 1.5 to 2. Here's where you put your thread in. This is where you can mess around with your bobbin. This machine has a bunch of tutorials, so I highly suggest that if you have this machine or a similar one, that you check those out. So first things first, I'm going to turn on the machine. On the right side, there's the button to flip. And the carriage embroidery, just press OK. I'm not going to recall anything, and I'm just going to put the embroidery design. I moved it onto a USB, so I'm going to click the USB setting. And let's go to the Steamboat Willie. You can see that it is a PES, and it even recognized the color, so that's perfect. I don't have to do anything. I'm just gonna click edit and embroidery. Currently it says 12 minutes at 4,900 stitches, which is awesome. Let's put this thread in, which I'm gonna just use black. So I'm gonna follow the same thing. Follow the steps that it shows on the machine. Guys, the more you embroider, and we're not going to be using this, so let me take this out. The more you embroider, the faster you'll get at all of these steps. And let's see if it will work. I'm going to put this down. Nope. So one of the things that I want to suggest to you guys is to be careful when you press this down. Try not to be too harsh with it. There's a little metal right there, and its purpose is to push the thread through. And I was a little too rough with it when I first started using this machine, so that kind of broke, and now I have to do this manually, which is honestly fine. It's no big deal. I have the eye of the tiger to put the thread through like that. Boom, done. That's it. Thread is through. Awesome. Let's make sure it goes through 6. Don't want to be missing 6. And normally I like to give it about a finger length in excess. At the bottom, you'll see that if you press this button out here, you'll have your bobbin. The bobbin is full right now, and just follow the guidelines. Everything is so simple with this machine, guys. They make it so easy for you to follow the instructions that it's really hard to mess up. Now, the only thing that I would say for the SE600 is practice, practice, practice. It took me quite a bit of time before I was able to get this proficient at it, but generally, this is a great machine for a beginner. Now, this is the hoop right here, and I'm not gonna show you how to hoop this on a t-shirt because we have an awesome tutorial by John Deere. I'm going to make sure to link it down here so you guys can check that out. Please make sure to watch it because he shows the best tips and tricks on how to hoop using these classic hoops without the need to use any hoop stations, which if you're a beginner, you probably don't have any. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hoop the shirt. Okay, so the fabric is now hooped. I got it on a t-shirt and it was very simple. And by the way, for the stabilizer, I am using a no-show mesh cutaway. And the reason I'm using that is because it's thinner than a cutaway and it won't leave any of those shadows that normal cutaways do. Tearaway, if you're a beginner, you're most likely using that right now, but for t-shirts or any fabric that is stretchy, I wouldn't necessarily recommend tearaway because it won't stabilize and hold the fabric properly. So I use no-show mesh cutaway. Now let's put this shirt in as best as we can, slowly and carefully bring it into the hoop. Awesome. Make sure that I don't double stitch or embroider through the back of the shirt. That's a mistake that a lot of us will make at the beginning. And if you've made it already, well, welcome to the club. I'm going to almost turn the shirt into a bowl. And the reason I'm doing that is to ensure that no fabric is going underneath the hoop. That's how that mistake happened before. So I'm just creating a little cup like that. I think that's pretty awesome. And one thing is I kind of pressed go a little too fast, but in reality, the shape of this design is going top, bottom. So I want to return, I want to rotate, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. That's it. Now it's good to go. As we bring the lever down, and I can press start to do the embroidery. And here you go, guys. This is the final look of the Steamboat Willie embroidery. What do you guys think of it? Please let me know in the comments. Now myself, I've already noticed a couple of places where I can improve, such as this part of the ear right here, as well as maybe the tail. I could turn it into a satin stitch, and then just some other places. But that's the thing about digitizing is never perfect. There's always somewhere where you can improve, so don't let perfection stop you from learning how to digitize and get better at creating your own designs. Now I'm glad I saved the native file because then I can go back and re-edit some of these parts, or I could start from scratch with a new and better version. That's ultimately up to you. Again, guys, all of the links to the Design Doodler, the digitizing cheat sheet, as well as the hooping tutorial will be in the link in the description, so make sure to click those next and check out all the tutorials. Thank you so much for sticking around. Leave any questions you have in the comments and watch this video next, and we'll see you on the next one. Welcome to the Embroidery Legacy and happy embroidery. See you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye. I think that's how the song goes, right?